Okay. All right, that works. Hey, listen to that. All right, well, I'm gonna give this a try, even though no one is watching. See what happens. So I am playing with the ASM Hydrasynth. I'm running everything through Bitwig just because I can. And I just have patch number 2 set up here, MPE. So how do we set up MPE? We need to make sure that in our system setup, go through the different pages until it says MPE on, and that's right here. So that's good. Oh, excuse me while I throw things around here. And MPE is enabled for this, so that means it's going to respond to MPE messages, and I'm sending those from Bitwig. The morph is attached to the computer and then routed through a hardware instrument to the ASM Hydrasynth. So we can compare just what happens when I use one of the pads with Aftertouch versus one of my funky little hex pads. So already I have quite a bit of room there in terms of timbre space, and I haven't even really done anything. So let's go ahead and initialize this patch. Init and init. And now it just beeps. Already does something cool with MPE. All right, if we wanted to, we could try that with the Buchla Thunder overlay. And we could try that with the Buchla Thunder. Those are just sending CCs. All right. But I like this because it's funky, it's DIY. And so how do we start making things happen here from the initialized patch? So the first thing I want to do is I want to set up the oscillators. So that's done over here by clicking the oscillator buttons. I'm going to select that first oscillator, and I'm going to set that to the wave scan mode, which is kind of a wavetable thing. And then with this, I hit that, and I can start setting up a bunch of different waves forms that we can then morph between, I guess, as it goes 1 through 8. And try to make them all different. And we can hear, that's here, so we can scan through those waves now. So that's pretty cool, but I want to be able to do that from the morph with MPE on a per note basis. So we go to the mod matrix, and since this is initialized, there's not a whole lot happening here. And I turn this knob until it gives me MPEY absolute. Press the button down here to select oscillator 1, and press it again to select a parameter, which is going to be wave scan. And finally, I'm going to set the amount that's going to happen. So again, I have not much happening there. That's cool. All right, so then I can do that. Now I have complete timbre control just going up on the Y. Now another thing I'd like to do is have some sort of control on the X. And again, rather than sort of focusing on envelopes and filters as you would in sort of traditional subtractive synthesis, I'm going to focus on the oscillators and shaping the waves, much as you would do with something like the Buchla Easel. So that is the West Coast synth paradigm where you're sort of wave shaping to get your different timbres rather than focusing on filters. Okay, so I've got the wave scan set up, and now I'm going to try MPE X. And it's nice that the horizontal motion does not have to be pitch bend. You have a little bit more freedom in how you assign those things. So I am going to set that to not oscillator, but mutant 1. So the mutants over here, those give you control over some wave shaping distortions for each oscillator. So the first two oscillators have these mutant distortions. So we're going to play around with those and add those to our touch controls. And there's ratio, depth, window feedback. I'm going to go with, why not go with dry, wet maybe? See what happens. Now I do really want a little bit more of that subtractive control, so I'm going to set the filter 1 so we could see what that would sound like at low filters. And so that seems like a cool thing to do. So I will select polyphonic aftertouch and filter 1 cutoff, and I'll maximize that and turn the cutoff way down here. So the cutoff's maybe a little bit too off. That's pretty neat. And already, so we've got some cool little timbral things going on here. And let's try that with the arpeggiator. We can just turn the arpeggiator on, see what happens. And again, let's compare what happens when we play with the pads. I mean, I don't mean to diss the pads at all, but that's what you get using, something more traditional. Here we have the multi-dimensional XYZ. Oh, and now I'm breaking stuff here. All right, my mood lighting. So that would be pretty dope to get some effects there, I bet. Another thing you can do is for filter, it can be actually nice to subtract filter and sort of pull it out when you push down. So if I can turn the cutoff up. And that way it's more present when you first hit the pads. Okay, this is getting good. Now, some effects. So again, we can add effects to these two sliders. I just happen to know because I made this overlay. These are sending CC 23 and 24. So I'll add those to sources and dial through here my sources and find CC 23. And I'm going to set that up to be delay, and I'll just do something traditional with wet dry. And similarly, I'm going to set this one up so it's CC 24. And next, hit the bottom button to go down. And I'm going to find the reverb because delay and reverb are like chocolate and peanut butter. And let's find that. Filter 2, no. Delay, reverb. Time, no. And I will set that to, again, wet dry, so I have a full wet dry. Time to get those effects in effect. And again, that's nice because there's sort of the delay here, and I can just set that up. This is kind of like it's halfway between something like a computer and a Dave Smith or sequential instruments. So there's a lot of sort of immediate controls, but then there is a certain amount of menu diving that you have to go through here on this. But it's not particularly oppressive, so it's pretty cool. So here's my delay parameters on this screen, and let's see. Give it a little bit more feedback. Here. Darken that up, and it's a little too slow. That's cool. And so that's my delay, and I can turn the wet down to 0 and control that over here. I could do that with my thumb if I want. A lot of nice variation already going on. And again, like, this is what I get with the same patch. It seems a little bit dull, perhaps, or a little bit straightforward. A little computational over here. It turns into a living flower. All right, let's hit that reverb button and set up the reverb. And let's hear what this sounds like. That's a little bit much. And kind of short, like darker reverbs. Don't want to damp the low too much. Lower that pre-delay a bit. And try a plate. And I'll go with the room. Give it a little bit higher and turn that dry wet down, and we already mapped that in the matrix, so at least I thought I did. So let's go back to the matrix and double check that. Reverb time, I don't want time. I want wet dry. So mistakes were made. And now I'm gonna have to go back to the reverb and change that time. There it is, all dry. And I have some octave shift buttons. Let me try really high. All right, so as long as this live stream is actually getting out to people, it's more or less interesting. So let's save this patch. We hit save, and I'm going to change the name a little bit and give it my first 3 letters because I don't have the patience to really do anything else. And NYB. All right, save. Saving patch. So that is the Nib Ultra Pad, even though it's not a pad. And I also set up one earlier this evening, practicing. So that's super cool. It works. And because I have I just happen to have this Easel Command over here, why don't we listen to that too? Because we're just practicing. And I'm gonna have to go back to Bitwig, make sure I have Buchla in. There's sound all right. Oh, there we go. So that's pretty fun. I'm gonna have a duet here. That's a big noise, isn't it? All right, well, there we go. We created an MPE patch from scratch on the Hydrasynth. And that was this evening's practice. And I hope it was worthwhile. All right, have a good night. Now, before I continue, let's see if there's actually anybody out there saying hello. Nope. All right, well, have a good night.